Imagine this. It's 3:17 a.m. You've tossed. You've turned. You've flipped your pillow to the cool side. Twice. Your body is exhausted, but your brain is still hosting a full-blown conference on everything from that awkward text you sent 5 years ago to what to eat tomorrow. Sound familiar? But here's the twist. What if your brain isn't malfunctioning at all? What if insomnia is your brain doing exactly what it thinks it should to protect you? In this video, we're going beyond tips and tricks. We're diving deep, gently, into the beautiful, baffling science behind insomnia. You'll finally understand what's really going on in your mind when sleep refuses to come. Have you ever felt like your brain is the only thing in the world that refuses to follow the rules of bedtime? The lights are off. The house is quiet. You've done everything right. Yet your mind feels like it's sprinting laps inside your skull, replaying conversations, inventing imaginary arguments, and obsessively planning things that aren't even urgent. You're not imagining this. In fact, if we could scan your brain during this moment, we'd see something surprising. Unlike the gentle, slow wave activity typical of someone drifting into sleep, your brain, the insomniac brain, lights up like it's daytime. Certain regions stay unusually active, particularly those linked to alertness, memory processing, and internal narration. One of the key culprits? The default mode network, the brain system responsible for introspection, daydreaming, and wandering thoughts. For most people, it powers down at night. But for someone with insomnia, it can remain hyperactive, spinning stories and fears and plans long into the night. And that's just one part of the puzzle. There's also increased connectivity in the wake-promoting centers of the brain, like the ascending reticular activating system. In simple terms, your brain's stay awake circuits don't turn off when they should. So even as your eyes close, your brain is on alert. Not because you're weak, not because you're doing anything wrong, but because your brain thinks, for some reason, that being alert is what you need right now. It's not broken. It's trying to protect you. Let's go deeper. So, why is your brain so sure you need to stay awake? The answer lies in one word: hyperarousal. Unlike the sudden jolt of fear, when you're startled, hyperarousal in insomnia is more subtle, a chronic, low-level activation of your brain and nervous system. It's like your mind is hovering just above rest, not enough to feel fully anxious, but just enough to keep the door to sleep tightly shut. Neuroscientists describe insomnia not as a failure to initiate sleep, but as too much wakefulness in the system. It's not that your body can't sleep. It's that your brain thinks it shouldn't. Imagine your sleep and wake systems as a seesaw. On one side, the ventrolateral preoptic nucleus, the part that promotes sleep. On the other side, the wake-promoting areas, the brainstem, hypothalamus, and cortex, pumping out neurotransmitters like norepinephrine, dopamine, and histamine. In someone with healthy sleep, this seesaw tips naturally in favor of sleep when night falls. But in insomnia, that seesaw is jammed. The wakeful side stays heavy, overactive, often due to chronic stress, conditioned alertness, or unresolved mental tension. Your body wants rest, but your brain refuses to yield control. It's scanning for danger, reviewing the past, anticipating problems, even when nothing is wrong. This internal tug-of-war explains why even when you're lying still in a quiet room, your brain won't slow down. It's not ignoring your need for sleep. It just doesn't think the environment is safe enough yet. And here's the kicker. This doesn't just happen after one bad night. Once insomnia becomes chronic, your brain starts expecting to be awake at night. It learns the pattern. In other words, your insomnia is no longer a symptom. It's become your brain's new normal. But how did this pattern begin? To find that answer, we need to understand how your brain normally falls asleep in the first place. To really grasp how insomnia disrupts the night, we first need to see what happens in a brain that sleeps well. In a well-functioning system, the process of falling asleep isn't instant. It's layered, deliberate, and deeply biological. It starts with the buildup of sleep pressure, driven by a chemical called adenosine. Throughout the day, adenosine levels rise, making you feel increasingly drowsy. When you finally lie down, this pressure peaks, like a gentle hand guiding you toward rest. Simultaneously, your circadian rhythm, your internal 24-hour clock, begins its evening shift. It signals the suprachiasmatic nucleus in the brain to initiate the release of melatonin, telling your body, "Hey, it's safe. It's time to go offline." This beautiful cascade continues as brain waves begin to shift from active beta to slower alpha, then into theta, and eventually delta. Breathing slows, muscles relax, and the conscious mind fades. But here's where it gets tricky for the insomniac brain. If there's any interference, stress, anxiety, bright light, overthinking, or even the fear of not sleeping, this entire process is thrown off. Adenosine might be high, melatonin might be present, but the brain still says, "Not yet. Stay alert." Even just anticipating a sleepless night can send signals to the hypothalamus and activate the HPA axis, flooding your system with cortisol, which cancels out all the calming signals you were counting on. The result? A mind that feels too busy, too awake, or too unsafe to rest, even in the stillest, quietest room. And here's the quiet truth. Your brain isn't broken. It's misunderstood. It's trying to help. It's misreading cues. And most of all, it's stuck in a cycle. But if it can learn insomnia, it can also unlearn it. Sleep isn't something you turn off like a light switch. It's something your brain builds, gradually, delicately, like a symphony rising from silence. And when one instrument is out of tune, the entire performance can fall apart. Contrary to how we often think of it, sleep is not a passive state. Your brain doesn't simply shut down. In fact, the shift into sleep is one of the most complex, active transitions your body makes all day. Let's walk through this symphony, piece by piece. The prelude starts with your environment: darkness, cool temperature, reduced stimulation, all of which signal your brain to prepare. In response, your pineal gland begins secreting melatonin, the body's natural timekeeper. But melatonin doesn't make you sleep. It only says, sleep should happen now. The real work begins elsewhere. Next, the hypothalamus checks in with the suprachiasmatic nucleus, your circadian rhythms conductor. If everything aligns, it gives the go-ahead to activate the ventrolateral preoptic nucleus, VLPO, which sends calming signals across the brain, suppressing arousal centers. At the same time, the brainstem, specifically areas like the pons and medulla, begin shifting control. Heart rate slows, breathing deepens, muscles begin to relax. Now, the thalamus, a central relay station, reduces the flow of sensory information to the cortex. In other words, it starts filtering out the world. This orchestration is delicate, and in someone with insomnia, one or more of these processes can get stuck, delayed, or overridden. Think of it like trying to perform a concert while the brass section keeps playing over the strings, or the conductor keeps changing tempo mid-song. No wonder sleep doesn't come. But which sections are most often out of sync in insomnia? In the symphony of sleep, each brain region plays its own part. And just like in an orchestra, timing, balance, and coordination matter more than volume. Let's meet the main players and see how insomnia disrupts their rhythm. The ventrolateral preoptic nucleus is responsible for sending out the rest signal. When it activates properly, it quiets the arousal centers in the brain, like the locus coeruleus, tuberomammillary nucleus, and Rafe nuclei, which otherwise keep you alert. In insomnia, these arousal centers often resist being shut down. They stay online, chattering in the background like noisy percussionists who won't stop tapping. This part of your brain normally acts like a bouncer for incoming sensory data. It reduces awareness of external stimuli so you can slip into deeper stages of sleep. But in insomniacs, the thalamus may remain too active, continuing to process sound, touch, and even internal bodily sensations. The result? You lie in bed, hyper-aware of every creak, heartbeat, or blanket shift. Then there's the prefrontal cortex, the seat of reasoning, reflection, and, unfortunately, rumination. In healthy sleepers, this region winds down at night. But in insomniacs, it often refuses to let go, spiraling into what-ifs, regrets, or planning loops. This overactivity not only keeps the brain alert, but also blocks the transition to slower brainwave states like theta and delta, which are essential for deep, restorative sleep. This region monitors for threat. In people with insomnia, it's often more reactive, even in calm settings. It can amplify stress and emotional memories right before bed, triggering a stress response instead of a sleep response. So when the symphony should be softening into silence, these regions are playing over one another, chaotic, loud, misaligned. But here's the gentle truth. These systems aren't broken. They're just misfiring. So how can we get them back in tune? So how do we help a brain that's out of rhythm find its way back to harmony? The first step isn't forcing sleep. It's creating the conditions where sleep is more likely to happen, gently coaxing the orchestra back into tempo without demanding perfection. Let's look at 3 ways the brain's sleep system can relearn its rhythm. Start with quieting the overactive sections, especially the arousal centers. This doesn't mean trying to relax. That often backfires. Instead, the goal is to lower the entire baseline level of activation throughout the day. Practices like mindful breathing, body scans, and non-sleep deep rest, NSDR, help shift the nervous system from sympathetic, go mode, to parasympathetic, rest mode. Even if sleep doesn't follow immediately, the more often your brain touches that calm state, the more familiar and accessible it becomes. The brain loves patterns. Small, consistent actions before bed, reading a paper book, dimming lights, stretching, signal the suprachiasmatic nucleus to cue melatonin and prepare the body for rest. These cues become like a soft overture that tells the orchestra, "We're about to begin." Even when sleep doesn't come right away, these rituals build trust, not with the body, but with the mind. Here's the paradox. The harder you chase sleep, the more it runs. That's because trying activates effort, and effort activates the very brain regions that insomnia feeds on. When you stop demanding rest and instead allow your brain to drift even into shallow relaxation, it begins to remember what it feels like to be safe, still, and not on alert. From there, the music can start again. Have you ever noticed how insomnia doesn't just feel like wakefulness? It feels like tension, like your body is coiled, like your mind is watching something invisible, like you're ready to respond, but there's no emergency to meet. That's not just anxiety, it's biology. At the center of this experience is a powerful hormone, cortisol. Often called the stress hormone, cortisol plays a vital role in keeping you alert, focused, and ready for action. It's part of your HPA axis, the brain's main stress response system, made up of the hypothalamus, pituitary gland, and adrenal glands. In normal sleep cycles, cortisol follows a daily rhythm. It drops at night to allow the body to relax and recover. Then it begins to rise just before dawn, preparing you to wake. But in insomnia, this rhythm is disrupted. Cortisol stays elevated, sometimes significantly, long into the night. And with that elevation comes a whole cascade of reactions: increased heart rate, shallow breathing, muscle tension, and mental alertness. It's as if your brain is whispering, "Stay ready. Something might happen, even if there's no danger." And the part of your brain that keeps sounding this alarm, that's the amygdala, your emotional watchdog. In insomniacs, the amygdala tends to be overactive, even in safe, quiet environments. Research using fMRI scans has shown that people with chronic insomnia often have heightened amygdala responses to negative thoughts, memories, and even neutral cues. So when you lie in bed, trying to rest, your brain might be saying, "What if something's wrong?" Not logically, but biologically. And your HPA axis listens. It ramps up cortisol. It tightens your system. It says, "Now's not the time for sleep." Even if the only real threat is the fear not sleeping. The human stress response evolved to save your life. If a predator was nearby, your brain's amygdala would activate the hypothalamus, which would alert the pituitary gland, which would call on your adrenal glands to flood your bloodstream with cortisol and adrenaline. Your heart would race. Your pupils would widen. Blood would rush to your muscles. You'd be primed to fight or run. It's called the fight or flight response. And for acute, real danger, it's brilliant. But what happens when that system stays on? That's what many insomniacs are experiencing. Not full-blown panic, but a chronic, low-grade activation of this survival system. The body may be still, but inside, the HPA axis is humming, just in case. Over time, this turns into a default state. Your brain starts to misread normal nighttime conditions as threats. Silence could mean something's wrong. Stillness could mean vulnerability. That slightly elevated heartbeat, maybe it's anxiety. Better stay awake and monitor. And just like that, your brain wires itself to remain alert, not from logic, but from habit. This shift is sometimes referred to as a conditioned hyperarousal, where the brain learns night after night to associate the bed with a state of stress rather than rest. What's worse, the more nights this pattern continues, the more the feedback loop strengthens. You worry you won't sleep. Worry triggers cortisol. Cortisol keeps you awake. Being awake increases worry, and the cycle repeats. This isn't weakness. It's a learned response. Your brain doing what it was built to do. Protect you. But it's protecting you from a phantom threat. and it doesn't know how to stop. So, is there a way to calm the watchdog? So how do you train the watchdog, the amygdala, to stand down? You don't do it by force. You do it by building trust. Remember, the brain isn't being irrational. It's doing what it's designed to do. Respond to patterns and signals. The problem is, insomnia has taught it the wrong pattern, that bedtime equals stress. But the good news, what's been learned can be unlearned. It starts with something incredibly simple, but powerful. No longer using the bed as a battleground. If you're awake for more than 20 minutes, instead of lying there, feeding the anxiety, gently get up. Do something quiet, low light, and non-stimulating. Reading, light stretching, breathing exercises. When drowsiness returns, go back to bed. You're reteaching the brain. This space is for rest, not stress. This technique, known as stimulus control, is one of the most evidence-backed insomnia strategies. It works by dismantling the association between your mattress and mental warfare. Cortisol is a biochemical reaction, but it listens to your body too. Gentle body practices like progressive muscle relaxation, slow diaphragmatic breathing, or even yoga nidra can down-regulate the nervous system. They don't have to knock you out, just reduce the internal alertness that keeps the stress cycle looping. Even lying in bed and saying, "It's okay if I don't fall asleep right now," can send a different signal to the brain, one of acceptance, not alarm. Cortisol isn't the enemy. It's just out of sync. You can help recalibrate it with consistent morning light exposure, light movement, and hydration. These signals help anchor your circadian rhythm, letting your body know this is day. Night will come. Sleep will come. And when that message is repeated, gently, patiently, night after night, even the brain's most stubborn watchdog begins to trust the silence again. You know the feeling. It's not just that you're awake. It's that your brain is working overtime, spinning through memories, rehearsing conversations, planning tomorrow, regretting yesterday. It's like your mind suddenly decides it's the perfect time to do a full systems check on your life. But this isn't just restlessness. It's a neurological loop, and it's deeply tied to how insomnia rewires your brain. This part of your brain, right behind your forehead, is responsible for planning, decision-making, and self-reflection. It's powerful. It helps you problem solve and stay safe in the future by analyzing the past. But at night, when you're supposed to let go, the prefrontal cortex often refuses. Why? Because the default mode network, DMN, a collection of brain regions including the medial prefrontal cortex, posterior cingulate cortex, and parts of the parietal lobe, doesn't power down properly in people with insomnia. The DMN is responsible for internal thought activity, self-talk, imagining, reflecting. It's meant to wind down during rest. But in chronic insomnia, it doesn't. It stays active, like a narrator that won't stop talking. Studies have shown that even when the body appears relaxed, the brains of people with insomnia show increased metabolic activity in DMN areas, especially during attempted rest. So, when you're lying there at 2 a.m. wondering, why can't I shut off? It's not just a feeling. It's real, measurable brain activity, keeping you mentally stuck in loops of overthinking. These aren't random thoughts. They're fueled by rumination, anticipation, and often anxiety about sleep itself. And the worst part? The more you try to stop them, the louder they get. But what if you didn't have to stop them at all? Let's talk about those loops. You know the kind. It starts with one small, innocent question. What time is it? But before you know it, your mind has spiraled into a dozen scenarios. If I fall asleep now, I'll get 4 hours. What if I'm exhausted tomorrow in that meeting? Why is this happening again? Why can't I fix this? This cascade of thoughts isn't random. It's a pattern known as cognitive rumination, and in the context of insomnia, it becomes its own kind of engine. At the core of this mental loop are two emotional drivers: worry about sleep itself and worry about everything else. When insomnia becomes chronic, it creates anticipatory anxiety. Your brain doesn't just fear being awake. It fears what being awake will do to you. So every night becomes a test. Will I sleep tonight? What if I don't? What if this never stops? These thoughts activate the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala, which, as we've seen, trigger cortisol and reinforce alertness. Your brain starts to associate bedtime not with safety, but with pressure. It thinks it needs to solve the problem tonight or else. And solving means thinking. But it doesn't stop with sleep-related thoughts. When the default mode network stays active, it also pulls in emotional memories, unresolved issues, and future planning. It's like your brain decides the quiet of night is the perfect moment to finally process that awkward conversation from last month. This leads to mental rehearsal loops, where the brain keeps playing and replaying scenarios, looking for closure, but never finding it. And since closure rarely comes at 3 a.m., neither does sleep. So what's the way out? Not by silencing the thoughts, but by changing your relationship to them. Here's the quiet truth. You don't need to silence your thoughts to fall asleep. You just need to change how you relate to them. Most people with insomnia try to fight the thoughts, pushing them away, arguing with them, or desperately trying to think less. But that resistance creates friction, and friction keeps the mind engaged. But what if you didn't resist? This is a gentle technique from acceptance and commitment therapy, ACT, called cognitive diffusion. And it's not about controlling thoughts. It's about defusing from them. Instead of saying, "I can't sleep. This is awful. I'll be a wreck tomorrow," you learn to notice the thought and say, I'm having the thought that I can't sleep. It's subtle, but powerful. That small shift gives you distance, like stepping off the mental treadmill instead of running on it all night. Over time, you stop treating every thought like a command. They become background noise, not instructions, not enemies. Here are a few gentle ways to apply this at night. Thought labeling. Simply name what's happening. Planning. Remembering. Judging. Visualization. Imagine your thoughts as leaves floating down a stream or clouds drifting across the sky. Let them come. Let them go. Mindful body focus. Shift attention from thoughts to sensations, the feeling of the sheets, the air on your skin, the rise and fall of your breath. None of these force sleep, but they do something far more useful. They teach your brain that it's okay to rest even when the mind is active, and that, over time, creates a new association, one where thinking no longer equals danger. That's when the loops begin to quiet on their own. Your brain has always known when to sleep. Long before clocks, schedules, or screens, it followed light. But in today's world, the rhythm of sunlight and darkness has been drowned out by glowing devices, late-night emails, and 24-hour stimulation. And your brain, it's confused. Deep inside the brain, tucked in the hypothalamus, is the suprachiasmatic nucleus, SCN, your master clock. It controls your circadian rhythm, a 24-hour cycle that influences body temperature, hormone release, digestion, and, yes, sleep. This clock is synchronized primarily by light, especially blue light from the sun. Morning sunlight tells the SCN, "This is daytime. Be alert. Suppress melatonin." As the day fades, natural darkness tells it, time to wind down. Begin melatonin release. This cycle, called the sleep-wake rhythm, was once effortlessly aligned with nature. But now, phones, tablets, LED bulbs, TVs, laptops. These devices emit a specific kind of light, blue, wavelength light that mimics the sun and sends the same message to your brain. It's daytime, stay awake. So, when you check your phone at 10 p.m., your SCN is getting mixed signals. It delays melatonin release, keeping your brain alert just when it should be preparing for rest. Worse still, even a brief burst of blue light, like answering one message or scrolling through a video, can reset your internal clock by hours. This doesn't just affect when you fall asleep. It impacts how deeply you sleep and how restorative that sleep is. Your brain, quite literally, loses track of time. So if your brain thinks it's still daytime, how do you help it remember night again? Let's talk about melatonin, the hormone often called the sleep chemical. But here's the truth. Melatonin doesn't make you sleep. It tells your brain that it's time to start preparing. Think of it as a messenger, a quiet knock on the door from your body saying, "Hey, night's here. Let's dim the lights inside." Under ideal conditions, melatonin production begins 1 to 2 hours before your natural bedtime. It peaks in the middle of the night and then fades as morning light returns. But when your eyes are exposed to blue light at night, especially from screens, this delicate cycle gets pushed back. Melatonin is delayed or suppressed, and your brain thinks it's still afternoon, not bedtime. This phenomenon is known as circadian phase delay, and it leads to something researchers call social jet lag. Imagine flying to another time zone, except you never leave your home. That's what blue light does. It shifts your internal clock away from your actual schedule. So even if your alarm goes off at 7 a.m., your brain still thinks it's 3 a.m. internally. And just like with real jet lag, this misalignment causes difficulty falling asleep, waking up groggy, daytime fatigue, trouble concentrating, hormonal imbalances. Even 1 hour of bright screen exposure at night can delay melatonin by 90 minutes or more. Night after night, this small shift adds up, and your sleep begins to fall permanently out of rhythm. What makes this worse? The brain doesn't quickly resync. It adapts slowly, especially when blue light is constantly reinforced. But what if we used light not to confuse the brain, but to guide it back? Your brain may have lost track of time, but it can remember again. The circadian system, while delicate, is also remarkably adaptable. And the most powerful way to resynchronize it? Light. Natural light. At the right time. Morning light is medicine. If you do nothing else, do this. Get outside within 30 minutes of waking. Even 10 to 15 minutes of natural sunlight on your eyes. No sunglasses, no window glass, sends a strong reset signal to your brain. It's morning. Time to start the clock. This surge of natural light not only boosts mood-regulating neurotransmitters like serotonin, but also locks in your melatonin cycle, so it knows when to begin later that night. Think of it as hitting sync on your internal clock. Just as morning light tells your brain it's time to be awake, darkness tells it to rest. About 90 minutes before bedtime, start dimming your environment. Use warm light bulbs or salt lamps. Enable night mode on devices. Try blue light blocking glasses if screen use is unavoidable. These changes don't just help melatonin. They train your nervous system to recognize we're heading into rest mode. Your brain craves rhythm. Go to bed around the same time every night, even on weekends. Wake up at a consistent hour. Eat meals at regular times. Even things like walking or exercising at the same hour daily. Give your body time. Cues. These small habits act like gentle nudges, each one reinforcing. This is when we rest. This is when we rise. Over time, your circadian rhythm stabilizes. Melatonin returns to its natural cycle, and sleep begins to feel natural again. What if your insomnia isn't a malfunction, but a survival mechanism? It may sound strange, but some neuroscientists believe that the is doing something it was designed to do, not in the modern world, but in the world we evolved in. Imagine you're a human living thousands of years ago. You're sleeping near a fire, surrounded by your tribe. But out there, in the dark, are predators, unpredictable weather, threats. In that world, being a light sleeper could mean the difference between safety and danger, and a brain that stayed partially alert while resting. That might have been a genetic advantage. This theory, called the sentinel hypothesis, suggests that insomnia-like traits may have evolved to keep some members of a group awake, scanning for threats, listening for danger, guarding the tribe while others slept. Sound familiar? It might be your brain isn't trying to sabotage you. It's trying to protect you, even though the danger is long gone. Today, that ancient alert system gets triggered by different things. A stressful work email, a strained relationship, financial uncertainty, the pressure to sleep itself, your sympathetic nervous system, your body's fight or flight response doesn't distinguish between a bear in the woods and a 2 a.m. thought spiral about tomorrow's meeting. To it, threat is threat. So it does what it's always done: raises cortisol, heightens awareness, blocks sleep, not because you're broken, but because you're still wired for a world where staying awake kept you alive. Everything is calm. The room is safe. Nothing is wrong. And yet, your brain refuses to settle. Why? Because for the hyper-aroused brain, safety isn't about facts. It's about feeling. The human brain didn't evolve in silence. In nature, silence was rare and often ominous. It meant a predator might be nearby. Something was off. Today, that same silence, a quiet room, still air, no movement, can trigger a subtle, subconscious vigilance. Your brain begins to scan the environment for anything that feels off. That creak in the hallway, that distant dog barking, that strange tightness in your chest. Your brain's limbic system, especially the amygdala, starts connecting the dots. interpreting even benign stimuli as potential danger. You don't consciously feel afraid, but your body tightens, your breath shallows, your muscles stay active. Sleep remains just out of reach. And then there's the other layer, the internal scan. Even without outside danger, your mind may start monitoring your heartbeat, your breathing rhythm, your level of tiredness, your thoughts about sleep. This creates a constant stream of internal pings, checking for threat, monitoring performance, analyzing every micro feeling. It's exhausting. And the cruel irony, the more you check to see if you're relaxing, the less relaxed you become. This is classic hyperarousal, not a panic attack, but a low-level state of readiness. And readiness, by definition, is incompatible with rest. Scene shows the person in bed turning over, eyes still open. Everything is fine, but nothing is peaceful. So, if the brain is stuck in this old evolutionary loop, watching, scanning, alert, how do we finally tell it? You're safe now. You can't talk the primitive brain into feeling safe. It doesn't speak in language. It listens to patterns, sensations, and repetition. So, if you want to calm a hyper-aroused brain, one wired to survive, you have to show it over and over again that there is no danger now. One of the most effective tools for resetting the brain's survival mode is something ancient and often overlooked: ritual. Not in a mystical sense, but in a neurological one. Small, predictable actions performed the same way each night send a non-verbal signal to your nervous system. This space is familiar. This pattern is safe. You can relax now. This might include putting on soft, familiar clothes, making a warm, non-caffeinated drink, reading in low light, breathing deeply with your hand on your chest, using calming scents like lavender or chamomile. It's not about tricking your mind. It's about retraining it, giving it cues. It learns to associate with rest. You can't outthink survival mode. but you can out-sense it. Grounding practices calm the brain from the bottom up. Try this. Place both feet flat on the floor. Notice 5 things you can feel. Bring your focus to the contact between your body and the surface below. Exhale slowly, longer than you inhale. These sensory anchors speak directly to your limbic system, telling it, "We're here. We're safe. Nothing needs to happen now." The hyper-aroused brain doesn't calm in one night. It calms through consistent, gentle repetition. Even if sleep doesn't come, these routines still build trust. They reshape your brain's expectation from "I must stay on guard" to "it's okay to let go." And eventually, it does. For many people with insomnia, the hardest part of the night isn't when they can't sleep. It's before they even try. That tight feeling in your chest as you brush your teeth. That anxious glance at the clock. The subtle dread of another night of battling your own mind. This is sleep anxiety. And for many, it becomes the true cause of ongoing insomnia. At some point in the experience of insomnia, your brain starts to do something quietly devastating. It associates trying to sleep with failure. Each night that ends in frustration creates a tiny imprint, a memory that says, "This is going to be hard." And over time, those imprints add up. So when evening comes, you're not just tired. You're on edge. You're thinking things like, "What if tonight's just like last night? I can't afford to lose another hour. I have to sleep, or else." These thoughts aren't just psychological. They trigger a physiological stress response. Your body starts to prep for a problem. The amygdala activates, cortisol rises, and your nervous system shifts into threat mode. This process often happens before your head even hits the pillow. And the moment you notice you're not falling asleep fast enough, the panic loop begins. Your brain learns to expect insomnia, not just experience it. And expectations in the brain are self-fulfilling. This is called anticipatory arousal, the automatic activation of your wakefulness system simply from the thought of bedtime. So even on nights when nothing is actually wrong, your body reacts as if the battle is already lost. But what if the key isn't fighting this reflex, but breaking the association that causes it? You know how it goes. You check the time. You do the math. You tell yourself, if I fall asleep now, I'll get 6 hours. But you don't. So you try harder. You roll over. You breathe deeper. You stare at the ceiling. Now it's 5 hours. Then 4. This mental countdown turns the bed into a performance arena. Sleep becomes a test, and every minute awake feels like a failure. This is the bedtime fear loop, and once you're caught in it, it's hard to break free. The fear loop has 3 stages. Anticipation. You begin dreading bedtime hours before it arrives. Your body tightens, your mind races, and your stress response quietly ramps up. Attempt. You get into bed hoping it'll be different this time. But as soon as sleep doesn't arrive quickly, the anxiety returns. You begin to monitor every sensation. Am I relaxed enough? Why did my heart just beat faster? Oh, why am I still awake? Amplification. Each worry fuels the next. Every moment awake confirms your worst fear, that sleep won't come, that you're broken, that tomorrow will be ruined. And those thoughts reinforce more arousal, more adrenaline, more wakefulness. The loop is complete. Over time, this cycle rewires your brain. You stop associating your bed with rest and start associating it with stress, judgment, and pressure. And here's the cruel twist. Even if you're exhausted, the very act of trying to sleep now triggers the fear not sleeping. But what if you didn't have to perform? Here's a radical idea. What if your goal wasn't to fall asleep, but to simply rest? No stopwatch, no pressure, no winning the night. Just being still. This is the anti-performance mindset, and it changes everything. Sleep is a passive process. It can't be forced, commanded, or willed into existence. The harder you try, the more you activate the prefrontal cortex, the same part of the brain responsible for effort, decision-making, and monitoring performance. And when that part is active, it tells your nervous system, "We're working on something. Stay alert. Don't let your guard down," which is the exact opposite of what sleep needs. So instead of chasing sleep, the shift is this: redefine success. Success isn't knocking out cold in 10 minutes. Success is creating a low-pressure environment where sleep is allowed, not required. Next time you're in bed, try saying this to yourself: "I don't have to sleep right now. I'm just resting. My body knows what to do. I'll get there when I get there." Even if sleep doesn't come quickly, you're still reducing arousal, still teaching your brain that the bed is a safe place, still moving in the right direction. The irony: when you let go of sleep, it often arrives, not as a prize, but as a byproduct of peace. Sleep anxiety is persistent, but it's also reversible. With time, patience, and a gentler mindset, the fear loop weakens. Your brain stops bracing. The bed becomes familiar again. Sleep stops being something you win and becomes something you simply return to. You wake up. You check the time. You feel like you've barely slept at all. And yet, the night passed. You weren't awake the whole time, were you? This is one of insomnia's most convincing illusions. The sense that you're barely sleeping, even when you are. Micro-arousals are brief awakenings, just a few seconds long, that often occur without full consciousness. They're normal. Everyone has them. In fact, healthy sleepers may experience 10 to 20 micro-arousals per hour. But for people with insomnia, these brief awakenings are more frequent, more intense, and often accompanied by conscious awareness, the sensation of being lightly awake for long stretches. And here's the twist: your memory of sleep can be distorted. Studies show that people with chronic insomnia often underestimate their sleep time by as much as 50%. You may think you only got 2 hours, but sleep studies show 5 or 6. Why? Because the sleep was fragmented, filled with moments of wakefulness, awareness, and mental activity that feel like not sleeping. You may not be tossing and turning all night, but your mind is active. Your body is tense. You dip into sleep, then rise again and again. This fragmented rhythm creates a sensation of light or shallow sleep, but in reality, your brain is cycling through sleep stages, just not in a smooth, continuous pattern. And when your brain keeps waking to check if you're sleeping, that very act creates the illusion that you never truly slept at all. It's not just the absence of sleep. It's the presence of too much awareness. To understand what's really happening in the insomniac brain at night, we have to look beneath the surface. Literally. Sleep researchers use polysomnography, full-spectrum sleep studies that measure brain waves, EEG, muscle movement, eye motion, breathing patterns, heart rate. These tests reveal something surprising. Many people with insomnia are sleeping more than they think, but the quality of that sleep is different. Even during non-REM sleep, insomniac brains show more beta and gamma waves, frequencies associated with wakefulness and alert thinking. It's like the brain is sleeping with one eye open. This is the deepest stage of non-REM sleep, the most restorative. People with insomnia often have less delta wave activity, meaning fewer moments of complete physical and mental rest. The body lies still, but the brain remains slightly guarded. Alpha waves are typically present during relaxed wakefulness. In insomnia, they often intrude into deeper sleep stages, like background static that keeps the brain from fully disconnecting. The result? You might technically be asleep, but it feels like you're hovering, drifting, semi-aware, never dropping all the way in. This mismatch Between what the brain is doing and what you feel is what makes insomnia so frustrating. You wake up feeling exhausted, even if you technically slept 6 hours. You remember every awakening, every half dream, every mental loop. And yet, your brain did sleep. It just never got a chance to go deep, to fully shut the doors. So if sleep is happening, just not deeply enough. Here's something many people don't realize. Good sleep is forgettable. The best kind of rest is the kind you don't notice happening. You drift off quietly. You wake up surprised it's morning. There's no countdown, no memory of the moment sleep arrived. But for the insomniac brain, hyper-aware, alert, and constantly checking, this kind of sleep feels impossible. So how do you start sleeping without trying to remember doing it? First, let go of the idea that only deep sleep counts. Light sleep, fragmented sleep, even sleep that feels restless, all still contribute to your overall restoration. Emotional regulation, physical recovery, memory processing. Instead of labeling a night as bad, try this. I had some rest. My brain had moments of sleep, even if I didn't feel them all. That shift in mindset alone can reduce the performance pressure that keeps you awake. The more you watch for sleep, the less likely it is to arrive. Instead of scanning your thoughts or checking how long you've been lying down, anchor yourself in neutral body sensations. The weight of the blanket, the rhythm of your breath, the sound of the fan. Let your mind observe without evaluating. Let it drift, not toward sleep, but toward non-resistance. That's when your brain starts letting go, and your memory of sleep fades, like it's supposed to. You woke up at 3 a.m. That doesn't mean the night is ruined. Most people, even great sleepers, wake up briefly throughout the night. They just don't remember it. You can wake, shift positions, and go right back down if you don't panic. The goal isn't perfect stillness. It's calm returning. Sleep isn't one thing. It's a journey through distinct stages, each marked by unique brainwave patterns, each playing a different role in your recovery. But in insomnia, this journey becomes disorganized, interrupted, or cut short. And to understand why sleep feels so broken, we need to look at the brain waves behind it. Stage. Brain waves slow to theta frequencies. You're drowsy, half-aware, easy to wake. This stage is the on-ramp to deeper rest. Bursts of activity that help with learning and memory. Consolidating memories. In a healthy sleeper, the brain cycles smoothly through these stages, repeating the sequence 4 to 6 times per night. Deep sleep dominates the first half of the night. REM dominates the second half. You don't notice the transitions because they're fluid, balanced, quiet. But in insomnia, these transitions become disrupted. Some stages get skipped, others get cut short, and the brain's rhythm becomes a messy mosaic instead of a song. So, how exactly does the insomniac brain's rhythm break down? So, what does insomnia look like in the brain? When scientists hook up an insomniac to an EEG, a machine that reads brainwave activity, they often find something unexpected. The brain isn't off. It's still on, in the wrong places, at the wrong times. The hyperactive cortex. People with insomnia often show increased beta and gamma activity, brain waves linked to thinking, problem solving, and alertness. Even during non-REM sleep, their brains may still be generating high-frequency waves that don't belong there. It's as if part of the brain refuses to disengage. You might look still on the outside, but your brain's inner voice is still muttering. This leads to what researchers call local wakefulness, when some regions of the brain are sleeping and others are still awake. Another common feature in insomnia is alpha intrusion. Alpha waves, linked to wakeful relaxation, sneak into deeper sleep stages, disrupting the restorative processes of slow wave sleep. This intrusion doesn't always wake you up, but it keeps the brain from going deep enough to fully recharge. You might not remember the interruption, but you'll feel it the next day as grogginess, irritability, or that heavy fog in your mind. REM sleep, your emotional processing zone, can also suffer. In insomnia, REM cycles tend to be shorter, more fragmented, and often arrive later in the night than they should. This means you may spend less time dreaming and more time in a weird in-between state where emotions feel unprocessed and unresolved. And since REM is critical for mental health, this can lead to increased mood swings, sensitivity, and emotional reactivity. The insomniac brain isn't failing to sleep. It's fighting itself at every level. The brain is not a machine. It doesn't reset with a switch, but it can be rebuilt, gently, wave by wave. Sleep isn't just about hours. It's about architecture, the structure and flow of your night. And like any structure, it can be restored. Deep sleep, the delta wave stage, is often the most compromised in insomnia. But the good news, it's also the most responsive to changes in lifestyle and environment. What helps deepen this stage? Consistent sleep-wake times, cooler bedroom temperatures, exercise during the day but not too late, avoiding caffeine after midday, These choices reduce sleep fragmentation and encourage your brain to dip further into delta activity, even if only for brief moments at first. Sleep spindles, bursts of brainwave activity during stage 2, help stabilize sleep and protect it from waking. They increase when the brain feels safe. Practices like mindfulness, pre-sleep relaxation, and white noise have been shown to encourage spindle activity, helping the brain settle more deeply into uninterrupted cycles. Healing REM sleep, the emotional stage, isn't just about dreaming. It's about emotional reset. To support REM, keep your sleep schedule regular. Allow for a full night's rest. Reduce emotional reactivity before bed. Even fragmented sleep can regain structure over time. The cycles begin to link back together. The waves begin to flow again. Your brain remembers how to sleep. It just needs the right rhythm to return. There is no single cure for insomnia, because insomnia isn't a single problem. It's a pattern, a complex mix of biology, behavior, emotion, and memory. But that also means healing doesn't have to come in one dramatic shift. It can come slowly, gently, wave by wave, night by night. The most hopeful discovery in modern neuroscience is this. This is called neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to rewire itself in response to new inputs, routines, and behaviors. And sleep? It's one of the most responsive systems to this kind of gentle reshaping. Even if you've been stuck in insomnia for years, your brain still knows how to rest. It just needs time to relearn. We've seen how insomnia is fueled by hyperarousal, by the brain's belief that something needs to be watched, fixed, or feared. So the first step is to teach the brain that rest is safe again. This doesn't happen through effort. It happens through consistency. Going to bed at the same time not to force sleep, but to provide rhythm. Creating a pre-bed routine that's not about productivity, but about presence. Letting go of perfect nights and honoring even small wins. Every time you approach sleep without pressure, you're sending your brain a new message. This is no longer a battleground. That message sticks. It rewires. It sinks in. This is where real healing begins. Not with sleep itself, but with your relationship to it. You don't have to overhaul your life to sleep better. You just need to create micro moments of safety and rhythm. Small shifts that slowly retrain your nervous system. Over time, those shifts become a new identity, not just someone who tries to sleep, but someone who knows rest is possible. Let's look at some of the most impactful, science-backed micro shifts. Instead of asking, "How do I make myself fall asleep?" try, "What does it feel like to let go?" Control activates the prefrontal cortex. Curiosity calms it. Curiosity engages the present moment, pulling you out of mental loops and into gentle observation of breath, sensation, emotion, without needing to fix anything. This is one of the foundations of mindfulness-based sleep therapy. And it works because it unhooks the brain from problem-solving mode. What if the goal wasn't to fall asleep, but to be available to sleep? You're not failing if you're awake. You're succeeding every time you create the conditions for rest. Reducing stimulation, calming your nervous system, letting go of the clock, being still without demand. When you stop measuring success in hours and start measuring it in reduced pressure, your entire relationship with night changes. What you do after a hard night is just as important as what you do during it. If you had a bad sleep, avoid napping. Get outside into daylight. Eat a solid breakfast. Stay engaged with the day, even gently. These actions reset your circadian rhythm, reinforce your sleep drive for the next night, and, maybe most importantly, rebuild confidence. because you're showing your brain we move forward even without perfect sleep. You are not your worst night. You are not your fatigue. You are not the broken sleep pattern you've been trapped in. Those are experiences. They are not identities. And the most profound healing begins when you shift from saying, "I'm an insomniac," to, "I'm someone who is learning to sleep again." You are becoming someone who approaches night with openness, not dread, understands that rest is more than just unconsciousness, lets go of perfect outcomes in favor of consistent intention, knows that one bad night does not erase all the progress you've made, sees sleep not as a test, but as a return to rhythm, because that's what healing really is. Not flipping a switch, but reclaiming your rhythm, gently, patiently, without judgment. Just by watching this, by learning, by staying curious, you've already started the process. You've stopped blaming yourself. You've begun to understand your brain. You've shown it compassion. And now you're showing it a new path. Insomnia can feel permanent, but it's not. It's plastic, shapeable, rewritable, and no matter how long it's stayed, your brain can change course because it's not trying to hurt you. It's just been guarding you for too long. If this video helped you feel seen, understood, or even just a little calmer, hit subscribe. Not for algorithms, but for yourself, for the reminder that sleep is a relationship, not a performance. And if you know someone else battling the quiet war of insomnia, share this with them. Gently, quietly. Because sometimes the most powerful thing you can tell someone is, "You're not alone in this." And no, you're not broken. You're not weak, lazy, undisciplined, or doing anything wrong. You're human. And your brain has been trying to protect you. Now, with the science in your hands and compassion in your heart, you're ready to sleep again. Not because you forced it, but because you finally let it be okay not to.